Hello everyone, this is Ujjwal Gandhi from Spatial Thoughts. Welcome to our Python tutorial series on xarray. Today we'll learn how to use xarray to read and process geospatial raster data. Xarray is a powerful Python package that is now becoming the de facto standard for processing large volumes of raster data. If you have worked with geospatial raster data in Python, you may have used things like raster.io or rasterstats. Those are great packages, but if you compare them with things like pandas or geopandas, they feel a little outdated. Also, they don't work with time series data that well. Xarray was inspired by pandas, so it gives you a very similar functionality. Also, if you use geopandas, you'll feel it's very intuitive and fast, and xarray does the same thing for raster data. For me personally, I love xarray, and I've been using it to work with geospatial raster data, and I really love it. Xarray was designed to work with climate data, and it's very good at it. But in recent times, there have been a bunch of extensions that allow xarray to work with geospatial raster data as easily and intuitively. We'll see how you can use xarray along with all the extensions to work with geospatial data effectively. Let's get started with the tutorial. Here we have the step-by-step guide. Each tutorial comes with a link to a Colab notebook. Let's just open up the Colab. Colab provides you a free hosted environment, so you can run your Python code without having to install anything locally. You can just start running the notebook on the cloud environment. Since we are running this on the cloud machine, we just need to install the required packages. The Colab environment comes pre-installed with xarray, but we need to install the required extensions. Here we are installing rioxarray and xarray-spatial. Rioxarray allows xarray to read and write geospatial raster data, so things like geotiff files. Xarray-spatial has some useful functions that allow us to do things like reclassification or zonal statistics. Let's import the required packages. The way these notebooks are set up is we're going to download data from that is hosted on GitHub. We'll just download it and save it on the local cloud environment that we are working on. So here we are creating two folders, data and output. If I click on this files button, you'll see that we've created these two folders. Right now they're empty. We have this little helper function that allows us to download data from a URL. All the data that you need from this tutorial is hosted on this GitHub repository. These are the file names, and we're just going to run this to download it here. So now if I open up this folder, you'll see that I have these two zip files, which are the population rasters for year 2010 and 2020. These are the global population gridded data sets. If you wanted to, you could also use this button to upload data from a computer, but here we just download it from GitHub here. We need to read this data. This is a zip file containing the actual geotiff file. Raster.io and xarray. Now, since xarray uses raster.io to read and write geospatial data, we can read any data format that raster.io and in turn GDAL can read. One of the great things about this is you can read the TIFF files from a zip file without unzipping it. And that is very useful in terms of raster data because some raster data can be very large. So you don't want to unzip it and have this sitting on a local drive consuming a lot of disk space, versus you can just read it directly from inside the zip archive. Here we'll use the zip file module to first find out what is the file name of the file, the geotiff file that's inside the zip archive. We want to know without unzipping it, so we can just open this with the zip file archive and use this name list function to know what are the different files available. Let me just comment this. You can use the command / or control / in Colab to bulk comment. I'm just going to print files, and we'll see that within this 2010 zip file, we have this one TIFF file, one README, and one XML file. And since we only need the TIFF file, we just write a for loop that goes through each file, checks if the extension is TIFF, and saves the path to this TIFF file. So now we have the name of this TIFF file, and we need to construct a URI which says this is the path of the zip file, and within that, this is the TIFF file that we want to read. The format of the URI required for raster.io looks like this. I'm just going to print this and show you what that is. Since we are reading a zip file, we need to specify with a zip : extension, 2 forward slashes, then the path to the zip file, which is the data / this zip file. So we specify a relative path compared to where we are running the code. There is a data folder, and here is the zip file. Exclamation and the path to the TIFF file. Now, if you specify URI like this, raster.io and rioxarray can read this file directly without unzipping it. So here, So now we can open this with rioxarray. We use the open raster function, which allows it to read any supported raster dataset. We say read the data from this URI, which is the geotiff file inside the zip file, and we just say mask and scale true. This is a good option to have. It deals with no data value correctly, and if there's a scaling values that are specified in the metadata, it also applies those scaling factors. Let's see what this looks like. It's going to display this variable. And you can see we were able to read this data and we got an xarray data array object. Here we say there's a one band, so there's a one band data and we have this many x and y coordinates. So we have 0 columns and 4320 rows of the data and in one band. So we got our data read from this. This is a population raster, so each pixel, each grid has the value of the population in that. We do the same thing with the 2020 data. Specify the URI and open this up. One of the things you'll notice is when we do this, we get all the values loaded into RAM. That means you read the data and load all the values in the memory. This is great for small rasters. It will allow xarray to do things very, very fast. And xarray is really great at reading and manipulating data from memory. But what if your data is very large? If you load everything into RAM, you may not have enough RAM and you will get a crash. Xarray comes built in with Dask, which is a library that allows it to distribute the computation or multiple cores or multiple machines. It also supports lazy loading. That means it doesn't load everything into memory. It loads only what is required when doing the processing. So one tip is when you're working with large rasters, in this open raster function, you can specify chunks equal to auto. Chunks allows it to use Dask, which again comes pre-installed in the Colab environment. If you're running it in other environment, you may have to install Dask. And when I say chunks auto and run this, you'll see you get something different. What it says is there was 142 megabytes of data. It divided into this chunk of 127 megabyte. It'll decide what is the optimal chunk size based on how much RAM you have and how much cores you have, etc. But now, whenever you say process this data, it's going to load one chunk at a time and process it. So if this was a very large data set, again, right now it's not loaded anything into RAM. It just says, I know where the data is, I know how to read it, I've split the data into different chunks. Whenever you ask me to process it, I'll read it chunk by chunk. So that's great that xarray allows you to work with large rasters very easily just by specifying this chunk parameter. We're going to remove this for now. We don't need to use it because our data is fairly small. What we want to do is we now have population 2020 and population 2010. We want to compute the change in population in this decade. Since we just have pixel-wise one-band data, we can just do subtraction. We say subtract each pixel from population 2020 with the population from 2010, and we get the change value. So we just say pop 2020 minus pop 2010, and this will give you the change. This is similar to doing like a raster calculator. And we did the band-wise difference, and we get this change array. Let's visualize this. Before that, let's just first look at what this looks like. We'll see that this one is an array of one band and X and Y. Now, xarray allows you to work with multi-dimensional, multi-band data. So you can have data at different time steps. You can have data in different bands. When visualizing the data, you need the data in only one band. So you need just X, Y values that you can display. So either we need to figure out how do we turn this 3 dimensions into 2 dimensions. Since we have one band, we can just say, I would just want to select band 1. And this is the syntax that allows you to say, give me the band which is value 1. And if I just do this, you'll see that now we have selected the band 1, and all we have is a grid of pixels for band 1, which is the X and Y values here. So here we are plotting it just to visualize the data. Xarray comes built in with the matplotlib plot function. So we say, select the band 1, we have a grid of XY pixels, plot it and show me these values. Here, the values we are looking at is change in population per grid. So here we display the range of values from -100. Some pixels may have declined in population. Most pixels have increased population. We just display this between -100 and 1000 in this spectral color ramp. And this is a visualization. You can see there are a lot of places in India, China, Africa. They have had huge growth between this decade. There are some places which had some decline. Many of these places remained fairly neutral in this as well. This is great. If you just want to save it out, we'll get this result of our analysis as a file. But this analysis will be more useful if you can just classify it. Let's say I want to turn this into 4 classes where some range of population represents certain class. So here's a classification scheme that we want to use. Let's say any values which experience negative change from -100 to lower values will classify as negative. Any value where the change is between -100 to +100, we'll just say it neutral. It is small enough change, insignificant change. We just want to classify it as neutral. Any pixel with change more than 100 and less than 1000 between this decade should be classified as growth, and greater than 1000 should be high growth. So we want to turn this continuous raster into this discrete raster, and here's where xarray-spatial comes into play. Xarray-spatial has this function called reclassify, where we can say, here's our input range of values, turn them into discrete values. This is also helpful when you're working with, say, remote sensing indices. If you have NDVI values and you want to say anything less than NDVI of 0 is non-vegetation, 0 to 0.2 is low vegetation, and so on. So if you want to take any continuous raster and turn this into discrete raster, the reclassify is the function. We say define our bins. So here -100, 100, 1000, and we are using NP infinity to define anything more than 1000. And we want this classes 1, 2, 3, 4. So here we use the xarray reclassify function. We say take the band 1, take this original bins of values and turn them into new class values. We now have this 4 class values and we want to visualize this. To visualize, we again use matplotlib. Matplotlib, to visualize discrete data, we need to give the intervals. So here we have 5 intervals from 1 to 5, where we say 1 to 2 is the first class, 2 to 3, which is the value 2, 3 to 4 is the value 3, and 4 to 5 is level 4. So we just create these 4 intervals, we assign different colors to each intervals. So here we define the different colors, we define different labels for each color, and we also define the levels. So this is the interval value. So we say from minimum to maximum, take each value, assign this color and label, and then create a matplotlib plot. Let's run this. We take this change value, plot it, and we specify the levels we need and the colors we need. And we get this really nice visualization where we have now taken this continuous raster and created discrete classes and also visualize them in appropriate color. We were able to download some rasters in the cloud, use xarray to process it, classify it. It'll be nice to download this locally. So we take our change class path and we want to save it to the disk. Whenever you have a geospatial raster, it has got this Rio accessor. So if you want to do any geospatial operations, you can use this Rio accessor. We say take this xarray dataset, use rioxarray to save it as a raster. And when we're saving it, again, geospatial rasters uncompressed can be very large. We just use a lossless compression. So LZW is a good lossless compression to use. This won't zip it. The original files came as a zipped TIFF file. We don't want to zip it because it makes it harder to use. We'll just keep it TIFF file, but it'll be encoded with the compression scheme, so the file size will be quite small. Let's run this, and this will write the change raster as a geotiff file in the output folder. Here we have a TIFF file. Let's just download it. I'm going to download it and use QGIS on my computer to see this data. You open QGIS. Here is the zip TIFF file we downloaded. And when I load it into QGIS, this is what it looks like. You can see it's just black and white because that's the default styling that we got. Also by default, the QGIS uses some estimation of the raster, so it's not the actual raster. We just change it to actual, and it should give you the correct statistics. So here we just display between 1 to 4, and you can use different color schemes if you wanted to and visualize this here. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial. There are many more in the series that you can check out. If you want to give feedback on the tutorial or you run into any issues, you can just add a comment. At the bottom of the tutorial, there's a section where you can add a comment. So feel free to add a comment and I'll be happy to address any issues that you find. Thank you.